Alright, today's project, install a stereo system in the Pioneer 1000. So parts, I've got this Pyle PLMR91UB. This is the head unit, supposedly waterproof. It's a marine receiver. It's about $57 on Amazon. There's a lot of them out there. They all have some sort of a bad review, so we're going to give this one a shot. I got these supposedly 5 1/4 inch speakers. They're waterproof also. I have a plan for these where I'm going to put them. The speaker is actually more like some tiny little 3-inch thing in this plastic housing. I got 2 of them. They were about $12 each. The last thing is this dual AM/FM antenna. Once again, try to find reviews on antennas and it's a mixed bag. So I'm going with this one. Had decent overall reviews, and I'll show you how it looks here in just a second. Alright, so radio is going to go in this location here. It's perfect sized to cut a hole and put the head unit. So that's where that'll go in the vehicle. I'm planning on putting the speakers down here on the sidewall, surface mount them on both sides. My last Pioneer 700, I had the speakers, some Wake Tower speakers up in this area here, and they sounded really good. Honestly, I'm not really going for great stereo sound so much as just being able to have a little bit of music when I'm parked or when I'm working on something or just tooling around. So I think the way I'm just going to do it, I'm just going to use 2 speakers. Everything will be out of the way, and it should sound decent. So I did a little bit without you here, but basically, long story short, I was looking for a place to install the antenna, which is this size here. The last Pioneer 700 I just used one of the wire marine antennas, and it didn't work very well, but I had it just like run up the pillar and taped on here. I don't really like that. This time I'm going to put an actual antenna on here, but I didn't want to like destroy the looks and drill holes everywhere. So what I'm doing is you need a 3/4 size round hole for this mount for this dual antenna, and where I'm putting it is right here. And if you look, I've removed the clips just enough to be able to pull this away, and here is the antenna, the back side of it. There is a little bit of clearance needed behind here, so this is why I had to put it here. The wire runs out. I fed it under here, and right now I've just got the antenna with the standard connector pulled through here. It will then run up under here and plug into the back of the radio. So once we have it in place, it has this little circular piece here that gets mounted, and then the whip gets connected on top of that. Now, one thing I noticed about this, I actually read about it in some of the reviews, is that there's, it's painted metal. How is the signal going to get through painted metal all the way into here to where it connects to the wire? So I went ahead and cleaned off the first few threads, as you can see, to bare metal. I did the same thing on here, cleaned off some of these threads. That way the antenna makes contact. And then when it's installed, it will basically look something like this. It'll stick out. It will not stick out past the fender, so it should be protected from getting ripped off, but I can't guarantee that won't get ripped right off the side of here. So it'll look all right. Shouldn't be too noticeable. I suppose you could drill a hole anywhere here, or if maybe just hook it back here, but I'm going for somewhat decent reception, hopefully. So we'll try it right here, see how it is. Shouldn't look too bad. Kind of blends in, and we'll see how it works. So here's that antenna completely mounted. It doesn't really stick out too far. Hopefully that works decent. Kind of like the Jeep look for antennas. Alright, one other piece I got. It's called a Motong, but it's basically this USB / line in cable that will connect into the back of the head unit. And it comes with this piece if you wanted to surface mount it under the dash. Also comes with a cover, waterproof cover, and your pieces to secure it to the dash. What I'm going to do is, I did this on my 700. Is I mounted it. I'm thinking about doing the same thing. Cut the hole inside the glove box, and then I know it's hard to see, but cut the hole in the glove box. And that way you could plug your iPhone or your Android or whatever phone inside the glove box, and shut it all in here, and have everything connected and out of the weather in case you were out riding a trail or it was wet out. That way you don't have to have your phone exposed out here. It's safe in here, it won't bounce out, kept out of the weather, and you can have it plugged in and charging while it's playing your music. Or you can also, with the radio that I'm putting in, you can stream wirelessly via Bluetooth. The same thing, if you wanted to keep it charging, you could keep it in here charging while you're doing that. Alright, so I'm going to drill a hole about right here. Alright, so this was a 1-inch hole. We'll start with that. See what happens. Alright, there it is. With the 1-inch hole, fits very snug. Just had to push it a little bit in there. And then I will come around from behind and screw it down. So I pulled the wires through. Then you can't see up in here, but you can just thread this on from behind to lock it into place. I'm not going to worry about the weatherproof cap since it's in the glove box. For the left speaker, drilled a small hole down here under the dash, and this goes into a void in here. How to get to that is you can pull the cup holder straight up out of here. It'll pull out, and then you can, if you have small hands, you can reach down in there and grab the wire. Once you're in there, I fed it through here and up into the engine compartment. It runs across the front and goes back under where the radio is going to be. So now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Alright, now here I am on the other side. I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to put a hole right up here. And then I'll do the same thing on this side. Stand by. Alright, so next thing, to feed this into the hole. Here. Pry the cup holder out. Okay, that comes out. Get down in there on this side. Alright, I got that fed through. Get this line back up. Okay. Go ahead and trim this. Alright, now we're ready. Now I'm ready to drill a hole in the dash. Alright, so I traced the hole. I'm going to cut it out with the Dremel here since I don't have a 3-inch hole saw. fits. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'll pull it back out of here. I'll get everything wired up, get the speakers hooked up, and this comes with ISO plugs. Like I said, here's our plugs for our line in, USB, antenna port. You know, I'm just going to make power connections. Both the red wire and the yellow wire are going to be connected to a switched outlet. Supposedly this will retain all the memory channels if you do it that way. So we're going to give it a shot and see what happens. Alright, so I've got the radio wired in. I've got my auxiliary input, my USB connection wired in. The antenna is hooked up. This is for a line out. If you use an external amplifier, I won't be using that. I've made my connection for just my front left and right speaker and my power and ground. The extra blue wire that's not used would be for an amplifier turn on, remote turn on. So I've got everything set in there. Tuck this all in here. That set where it needs to be. And then I will tighten it up from the back with the included bracket. Okay, so looking in from under the hood, you can see the back of the radio, and it's a 7mm bolt. So I used a 1/4-inch socket on the back here to tighten it down, and we're good and tight. So the last thing I'm going to do is hook up the speakers and hook up the power cable, which I'm going to use the last open place on my auxiliary fuse block for the radio. So stand by, I'll be right back. Hook in the power wire for the stereo circuit. Get this tucked in and taped up. And then the last step under the hood here, I'll go ahead and install a 10-amp fuse. Obviously the power isn't on until I turn the key forward, so just get this installed. Alright, now I'll go wire up the speakers, get them in, and we'll be ready to try it out. So here's the speaker installed on the driver's side. And on the back of the speaker there's a larger spade terminal, which on the left there, which is the positive, and a smaller spade terminal, which is the negative. So I'm just using these crimp connectors to make the connection to the back of the speaker. I'll show you on the other side. Alright, so work on this side. So once again, the positive being the red is the larger terminal. Negative is the smaller one. See, if these aren't tight enough, you might need to tighten them down a little bit. it's too tight. Okay, loosen this up. I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I'm going to use these stainless screws. Speaker aimed the correct orientation. Save the hard one for last and get a longer extension. I'll be right back. Alright, so here's how it looks done. Let's go ahead and turn the key. I can press and hold it for a second.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we can have this because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer. I'm Nick Soboleski, a select quote agent with a true story that
play
can
around
save
with it, see if we
hundreds
can
of
get it
dollars a
figured
year.
out.
A woman named Linda
Alright,
just
like
called.
I alluded to earlier in the video, the Pyle head unit had to go back. It was junk compared to this Boss head unit. So I've got the Boss MGR350B installed. Everything works as it should. I have tied to the ignition, just like all the other circuits in here, the yellow and the red power wires for the Boss radio. And as you can see, when I turn it on, it retains its memory. It's got presets. And like I said, it retains its memory. So just a little wrap up here. This is a much better radio. It sounds a ton better than the Pyle, and it really is not that much more expensive. The only problem, some people will say that the display fogs up a little bit. I had one of these before, my Pioneer 700. I never experienced the display fogging up, but I'm just going to try to not spray it directly with a hose. Hopefully I don't have that problem with this one either. Alright, so hopefully this video helps you out. Like and subscribe for more. Thanks.